think Mexico is all about drugs and people illegally crossing the border into America, you're wrong, because this sort of thing shows you a different side. History, culture, architecture and religion. The second two, we're about to go and check out now.
You say you're identical to me.
Hola, buenas tardes, and welcome back to Mexico, but not Mexico City. That's right, I've taken a short trip out to the west of Mexico to visit two other cities in this awesome country. The first one being Guadalajara. That's right, in this video I'm going to walk around the city and show you some points of interest which largely have been recommended by you lot, i.e. subscribers, so thank you very much for that. So without further ado, let's get started. Right, I've arrived at my first spot in Guadalajara, but firstly I just want to tell you some first impressions. So I've literally walked from where I'm staying in Americanas, which is near Chapultepec, to where I am now, which I'll show you in a minute. But the thing I was thinking of, the way to describe Guadalajara initially, is that it feels like the Adelaide or Medellin of Mexico. So if you know Adelaide or Medellin, Australia, Colombia, they're smaller cities in those countries, yet they are still hectic, they're still busy, they still have that element of amazing architecture and history, which is awesome. And in comparison to Mexico City, yeah, it's busy, it's hectic, but I think it lacks that level of chaos which you see in Mexico City. So I really like it so far. It's a nice day, it's sunny. I haven't shaved, by the way, because I left my razor in Mexico City. Stupid. So we're going on to my first spot now. I'm hungry. Do you want to eat? Yeah, I think we do. Right, my first spot, oh fuck, not spot. Right, my first stop is Mercado Libertad, otherwise known as Mercado San Juan de Dios. This is the largest indoor market in Latin America. What? It's always the largest or biggest, isn't it, on this channel? Madness. We're going to go and have a look inside. Let's see what we can get. Right, welcome to another market in Mexico. Yes, another one. This is very similar to ones that I've been in before. In Merida, there was one like this, but this is significantly larger. It's got multiple floors, and apparently there's over 2,000 like stands or stalls, which is monstrous, humongous. Any other synonym you can think for big, that's what this is. It's amazing. You can get pretty much anything you want in these markets, from food, fruit and vegetables, souvenirs, jewellery up there, awesome, clothing up the top there, and I'm going to look for some food because apparently on the bottom floor there's a place where you can get a typical Guadalajara dish, which is what I'm looking for. Let's go downstairs. Right, it turns out I'm already downstairs, and that's what I'm after, some tortas ahogadas, which, oh my god, I said it almost right, I think. Tortas ahogadas is a traditional dish in Guadalajara. It roughly translates to drowned sandwich. So let's find out what that's all about. I'm being a greedy fat pig, as always. You'll have to excuse the noise and the lighting. This is heavenly. So basically, drowned sandwich. It's in like a bread that's a bit like a French stick, you know what I mean? So it's crispy, but it goes slightly soggy in the middle. It's just the right level of sogginess and crispiness. It's got like a chili sauce, but it's quite mild, and inside some kind of meat. I think it's chicken or pork, I'm not sure. Yes, and have a spoon to eat it with, of course. It's heavenly. Yum. So my stomach's now full, hallelujah. I must admit, I'm going to be totally honest, that wasn't my favourite in terms of Mexican food I'd ever had. It was a bit bland. However, from what I understand, the salsa that you have with it is meant to be mild. And if you want a hotter one, you have to ask for the chile, which I didn't. So next time, I'll remember to do that. I've come upstairs, right? As you can see, there is even more food. It's ridiculous. It's massive. There's food everywhere. This is Mexican food heaven, literally. I've never seen anywhere so big with this amount of Mexican food. It's slightly overwhelming. It's amazing. So if you like Mexican food, come to this place in Guadalajara. Just look at it.
been where I was last. I'll never be and after that I've already passed. So get on it, get on it.
Okay, we're on to my next spot, which I spent the last 2 hours looking for, but it turns out I was here 2 hours ago. Thanks to Google Maps sending me to an underground car park and apparently the entrance to Narnia, but never mind that. So Frida Kahlo, Diego Rivera, both two famous Mexican artists. This place is home to artwork of another Mexican artist. So let's see if we can take a look. Okay, I've had to go minus my stabiliser because you have to give your bag in, and it does cost 70 pesos, FYI, like most museums in Mexico. So the first bit I went through is like a modern art section, which is quite questionable in terms of actually being art. A pile of plates, apparently that's art, but it highlights the materials used in Jalisco, which is where Guadalajara is. So I'm going to go through there now, which I think is the main area. Okay? Right, apologies for the shoddy camera work, but that's what happens when you don't have a stabiliser, people. So I've got to say, that's very impressive in there. So what I believe is that artwork, those murals, all over the ceiling, all over the walls, they depict the Mexican Revolution from 1910 to 1920, but they show the negative side of it. It was painted, pardon the pun, in a more darker theme rather than what Diego Rivera did, which was more positive, I believe. Feel free to fill me in the comments if I am totally wrong. But yeah, it always amazes me how do they paint these things up on the ceiling. My neck was hurting just looking at it. So extremely impressive. Yeah, this is a good place to come if you are into art. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not the biggest art fan, as I said before. However, the thing that really strikes you when you go into somewhere like that is if you think Mexico is all about drugs and people illegally crossing the border into America, you're wrong, because this sort of thing shows you a different side. History, culture, architecture and religion. The second two we're about to go and check out now. We're going to go and see a church and a cathedral. Let's go. Right, I might not be into art, there's Batman by the way, but I'm into cathedrals. Yes, I'm at Guadalajara Cathedral, which is absolutely awesome. It's a 16th century Spanish Renaissance cathedral in a neo-Gothic style, i.e. the spires are neo-Gothic. I've never seen a neo-Gothic cathedral before, I sound like a right cathedral geek. But anyway, let's see if we can find the way in. Right, it's Cathedral Geek time, which is apparently now a thing. So I don't know why I turn into a complete bibbling idiot when it comes to cathedrals. Maybe you can tell me. But I think it's something to do with the general size, the grandeur, the elegance, and the intricacies of the architecture. What do I sound like? But anyway, there's a service going on at the moment. It is Sunday, but in terms of inside, it's very much similar to many other Mexican cathedrals I've seen in terms of massive columns, stained glass all around the top, which is totally amazing. But outside, I think it's even more impressive. So you can definitely see the difference between the Spanish Renaissance part and the neo-Gothic spires, which all have yellow and blue mosaic tiles on, which I think is really nice. It's great with the sun reflecting on the cathedral. It's about 6 o'clock at the moment. And I don't know about you, but when I think of neo-Gothic or Gothic, I think of gargoyles. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. But it's great, it gets your imagination going, you know? It's amazing. So definitely come here when you are in Guadalajara. Okay, if you've had enough neo-Gothic architecture for one day, I'm sorry, but you're going to have some more because I'm at Templo Expiatorio Santissimo Sacramento. She knows I said it right. I probably didn't. Yeah, it's basically a church, but this one's a lot more modern. Let's go and have a look. This is equally as impressive. Just look at it. Immense. And it's got a four-sided clock tower up there, which was actually imported from Germany. Interesting point of the day. And this place took over 70 years to build. It was only finished in 1972, I believe, which is weird for me because it doesn't look like it was finished in the 70s. It looks much older than that, so I guess it's a real good example of that type of architecture. The sun, maybe it's Jesus coming to get me. I shouldn't have said that. There's some sort of service going on in there at the moment, so I'm not going to go in there and film, but I did just take this shot from the doorway where you can see the wonderful stained glass right down the end. Absolutely spectacular. This is another example of what I said earlier in terms of forget what people say about Mexico. This is Mexico. Cathedrals, churches, religion, history, culture. See what I mean? I love it. I've had a nice day today exploring Guadalajara as a proper tourist for the first time in a long time. That's one great thing about living somewhere and then coming away for a week to have a little trip. Ding dong, Jesus is coming. I've got to stop with this blasphemy. Sorry. Next up, I'm going to another place very close to Guadalajara. It's just literally down the road from where I'm living, kind of. It's going to be a surprise. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, check out my Instagram, etc. And I'll catch you later.